Hello, my beautiful girls. Welcome in. I am so happy to have you today. We have a very important topic to discuss: how to protect your feminine energy by setting boundaries. We're going to talk everything boundaries, specifically how to use both your light and your dark feminine energy to do it. So everyone who's watching live, welcome. So happy that you're here and that you're with me. Let's go ahead and get started. So when it comes to setting boundaries, the one thing that keeps a lot of women locked out of their feminine energy is that they have trouble setting boundaries, that it's almost scary, that it's a struggle to do. I'm going to teach you how to get out of that. And there's two approaches that we're going to use: the light feminine energy approach and the dark feminine energy. If you are new to my channel, I'll give you the quick rundown of what each of those are. So you have two different forms of feminine energy. We have the light feminine energy over here, then we have the dark feminine energy over here. If you want to be in your divine feminine energy, you need both. You need the light and the dark. The light feminine energy, that is what I would consider the childlike side of you. It's a side that's really unrestricted and free and playful and happy. It's a side that tends to lead with more kindness and compassion. It's very beautiful. Then you have the dark feminine energy, equally as beautiful. It's a side of you that is more passionate, that's more on fire, that speaks from a more empowered place. That dark feminine energy, I think that there's a lot of negativity with it because in our society, dark feminine energy is looked down upon. The only reason that it's looked down upon is because it is so powerful. It's because if every woman knew how to connect to it, the world would be different. Women would stand up for themselves everywhere and they would not be treated sometimes the way that they are today. So your dark feminine energy, it's beautiful. It's the part that's so connected to her inner power and inner love that she is willing to speak, act, and live as the most free version of herself. She protects herself. She honors and loves her body. If you want to be in your divine feminine energy, like I mentioned, you need both. You need the balance of both. Because if you're all dark feminine energy, you're missing that light, you're missing that glow, you're missing that childlike nature. Excuse me. And the same goes if you are all in your light feminine energy. You're missing more of the sensuality, the pleasure, the deep passion and power that you have as a woman. And let me tell you, you have both in you. Every single human being has feminine and masculine energy. It's not gender specific. It's about the energy that you resonate with the most. So you have feminine energy, even if you feel like you're so disconnected to it, that is okay. At one point, I was so disconnected to mine, especially my dark feminine energy. I've told you girls for years it was buried in my body. I did not know how to pull it up. That was because of a lot of childhood trauma and a really toxic, strict home environment. I did not feel safe to be in my dark feminine energy. And then what happened is I became a woman who struggled to set boundaries. So if this is sounding familiar to you, maybe you grew up with strict parents. Maybe you grew up in an environment where you were taught to be a people pleaser. You were taught to be the nice girl. I'm going to teach you how to get out of that because, my girl, it has changed my life connecting to my dark feminine energy. If you want to access the most powerful version of yourself, you've got to learn how to do it. So now let's go over why you might be struggling to set boundaries. And this is kind of a part 2 of the other boundary video that I made. I think it's called How to Set Boundaries with Feminine Energy. Highly recommend that you watch that first one if you have not seen it already. While I was talking with some of my clients after I made that video, I realized there's something else that is causing a lot of us to be stuck setting boundaries. And what that is that some of us are in survival mode. If you are new to my channel, I'll give you a quick rundown of what survival mode is. It is essential to know if you are on your inner work journey. Being in survival mode, so how I would describe it, imagine that you are running through a forest and a bear is chasing you. When this bear is chasing you, what happens is your body enters what is called survival mode. When you're in survival mode, your body will shut down the functions that it does not need in order to give you the most energy, the most boost to outrun that bear. So these are functions such as your digestive system, your immune system, your nervous system. When your body's in survival mode, these functions are shut down and all your energy is to bring yourself out of danger and into safety. What has happened in our world today is most people are stuck in survival mode, and it's because they experience trauma and abuse and toxic environments that they never heal from. So now what happens is everyone is stuck with this unhealed trauma in their body. Their body still believes it is outrunning that bear. Their body is still shutting down these functions that they need to survive and thrive. So what do you think will happen when your digestive system is shut down? Your food cannot digest food, or your body cannot digest food properly. When your immune system is shut down, how are you supposed to fight sickness and disease from your body? When your nervous system is shut down, how are you supposed to get rid of anxiety and any feelings of fear? How is your body supposed to rest and relax? It cannot. So in order to heal and to be in your divine feminine energy, to be that woman who is able to set boundaries, you have to heal out of survival mode. I cannot believe I didn't even mention this in the first boundaries video. That's why I'm making this now. So I have a whole YouTube video on how to heal out of survival mode. I'll put it in the description of this YouTube video. But what I want to tell you, a few basic tips. Number one, bring yourself to an environment of safety and peace. Do what you can to create the relationships and the environment where you are at peace majority of the time. I do understand a lot of us have toxic home environments, and you can't always do that. My recommendation for you is to create one space in the house where you can go and relax. So for me growing up, that was my room. And I actually shared a room with my sister, so I had a small corner of the room that was like my sanctuary. I made it as clean, as beautiful, as fresh as I could, because that became my safe place for my body to learn to rest. You have to have a spot to heal out of the survival mode. Another tip that I'm going to share with you, and then we'll move on to the next part of this. I think I've shared this in another video, I can't remember which one, and I give this tip to all of my girls, all of my clients that I work with. Imagine that you have a dial, almost like that volume on a TV or a piece of technology. A DVD player, I couldn't even think of the name. So imagine you have that dial that's on a DVD player, but it's sitting on your heart right here. What you're going to do, take that imaginary dial, turn down your speed by 15%. What you are doing is turning down the speed in which you function daily. If you are in survival mode, here's what you'll notice. You are rushing through life. You are rushing when you eat, rushing through your conversations. It almost feels like there's always a to-do list. It always feels that you're running out of time. I promise there's a point in how this relates to boundaries. But back to what I was saying. These are symptoms of being in survival mode. In addition to things such as anxiety, acne, skin issues, cancer, disease, when your body is in that high stress mode, it cannot heal. You definitely cannot be in your feminine energy if you're in survival mode. So look for these symptoms to know if you're in it. Back to what I was saying, take that dial, reduce the speed by 15%. Slow down every movement throughout the day. Slow down the way that you talk. So I've taught this to my clients. They come back the next week. They say, Alexis, I feel so rested. I feel so relaxed. I feel that I can actually be in my feminine energy. All these creative ideas start coming to them. Until you feel that your body is rested and safe, you will not feel connected to your feminine energy. So when it comes to setting boundaries, when your body is safe, when your body is rested, you feel it is safe for you to set boundaries. Versus when you're in that survival mode, you feel it's unsafe. You feel speaking up, you feel protecting yourself would be risking your life even more. That is why healing survival mode is essential if you want to learn to set boundaries. I have 2 journal prompts for you. I love giving these out to you girls, and I love on Instagram when you send me pictures of your notes and you send me all of the inner work that you're doing. I appreciate you girls so much. I am happy to continue making content for you because of how much it's changing your life. I really appreciate the messages that you send me. So the first journal prompt that I have for you. Do I struggle to set boundaries because it could result in conflict and my body remembers experiencing this as a tragic event? Could it be that maybe you struggle setting boundaries because your body remembers when you did in the past something bad happened? When you're journaling, if you feel comfortable to do it, pull up those tragic memories, pull up those traumatic experiences, and this will help you say, my body is safe. This experience is no longer happening. So now I can set boundaries. Now I give myself permission to do that because this past does not exist and has no effect on my present moment. So that's the first journal prompt. Journal prompt number 2. Do I struggle to set boundaries because I was alienated by a group of friends, family, etc., and fear that that could happen again? That's a huge part of why I struggle to set boundaries, and that's why I've created this journal prompt for you. When I was in high school, something had happened where there was this girl in my friendship group that I really did not enjoy. I just got a bad feeling about hanging out with her. And so I told my friends I'm not going to be going to any events or any activities that she's at. And this got back to her, and she completely alienated me from the friendship group. And in high school, if any of you are in high school right now, I really feel for you because the pressure to fit in and to be included socially, it's really harsh. But I'm telling you, none of it matters when you're out of high school. And if I could go back, I would have eaten alone and felt no fear and shame around it. I remember walking around and thinking, where am I going to sit at lunch? Because now this girl has alienated all my friends and I don't have anyone to sit with. I remember that, and my body remembers that as trauma. When I had set a boundary, I'm not hanging out with this girl, her energy feels off to me and I don't feel good when I do it. I was alienated. So then I realized setting boundaries with friends was hard because I didn't want to be excluded like that again. I want you to journal and figure out what it is that's stopping you from setting boundaries. If you're watching this on YouTube, pause before you continue because the next step I'm going to teach you how to actually set those boundaries. But first, you want to know what it is and why you are struggling. I see a lot of comments coming in. This happened to me at 23 years old. Oh, yeah, girl, I feel for you. It happens at all ages. And I cannot believe that drama exists past high school. I cannot believe it. It's so immature. It's such just a low mindset. Let me tell you, my girls, if you have any friends who are creating drama, who are gossiping, who you feel just unsafe with, remove them. They are not worth being in your life. They are not worth that headache. When you remove them, God will replace them with way, way better friends. I don't want to make this a whole friendship video because I already made that and posted it last week, how to make high quality female friends. But yes, yes, mean girl mentality, yes. Oh, I'm so sad seeing these comments because so many of us experience this social exclusion, and it's really hard. A human need that we have is to have community. So that's why it's so tragic for us when we are excluded from groups, especially friendship groups. It's so traumatic because that deep human need that we have of community is gone, and it also threatens our survival. If you notice, years ago when we used to live in tribes, if we were kicked out of a community, our survival would literally be threatened. We wouldn't have that group to protect us from wildlife, to help bring food and water and raise our kids. So those evolutionary mindsets and fears, they're carried into us now. That is why losing people and being full of fear still exists. But I am here to help you remove those beliefs and start being confident and safe enough to set boundaries. That's a huge quality that you need to set boundaries. Feeling safe. I don't see that talked enough about. Excuse me, guys. Thank you guys for the gifts that you're sending. That's so sweet. Okay. So back to how to begin. Oh, this is my favorite part. And I actually have a book recommendation that I'm going to share with you guys. I've recommended the book called Boundaries to you. I'm also going to recommend the book called Boundaries in Dating. It's so good. This book, I don't think I've talked about it before. I'm actually still reading it. It's called The Art of Everyday Assertiveness by Patrick King. This book, where was this when I was trying to set boundaries years ago and learn how to do it? So I'm going to read to you my favorite part from the book so far. And what I'm about to read, it's called Your Personal Bill of Rights. So what Patrick King does in the book is he writes out the Bill of Rights, our rights that we have as humans. A lot of us forget you have power, you have the authority to set boundaries. These are your laws. These are your laws. These are your rules. So let's start with number 1 from your personal Bill of Rights. Your number 1 right, it's your right to not justify your behavior with excuses. Meaning when you set a boundary, you don't have to explain it. You also don't have to lie and make something up just because you want to say no. I used to be so guilty of this all the time. When a friend would ask, hey Alexis, do you want to go out this weekend? I used to say something like, oh no, I'm working, when I really wasn't working. I began saying, you know what, let me honor myself. Let me be so authentic because I want to be confident. I want to fully be in my feminine energy. You have to speak your truth. You have to have internal integrity to do that. So I started being honest and saying, I have been so burnt out. I need a night to stay in and to relax. Or no, I'm not in the mood to go out. That is what I would say. So number one, you're right. It's your right to not justify your behavior with excuses. They just get better and better. Number two, it's your right to change your mind. Something that you have to realize when you want to be in your feminine energy, it is okay for you to change your mind. It is okay for you to grow. Feminine energy, it's about fluidity. It's about flowing. It's about movement. How are you supposed to be in your feminine energy if you're so rigid, if you're so structured, if you do not give yourself permission to change your mind? You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to change your identity, your personality, the things that you commit to at any time. That is your right. Number three, it's your right to say, I don't know. This one's pretty self-explanatory. You can say, I don't know. Maybe you don't know how you feel. Maybe you don't know if you want to go out to an event or not. Maybe you don't know a decision in that moment. That is okay. Number four, it's your right to be illogical in your decision making. So that's the whole idea that I love. It's only delusional until it's done. Be delusional. Create life to be that fairy tale. You get to decide what life looks like. There are no rules. If something feels crazy and you're scared to set a boundary because of that, so what? It is your life. There are no rules. I remember thinking too that during COVID, during the summer, my family used to always ask, Alexis, why are you dressing up? Why are you putting on makeup? And I used to try to set boundaries and tell them, don't say that to me. But the truth is, I'm allowed to make any illogical decision. I can stay at home and wear makeup and be dressed up all day if that's what I like. And I didn't have to explain it the way that I did. So set your boundaries by just showing up and not explaining, even if it's illogical. Okay, the next Bill of Right. It's your right to decide which of other people's problems you have a responsibility to solve. This one's huge. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit because this is the key to setting boundaries. You get to decide, do you want to take on that person's problem or are you going to step back? You are not responsible for other people. The next one, it's your right to say, I don't understand. We're also going to talk about this too because it's a huge part of that dark feminine energy. I don't understand. And then it's your right to say, I don't care. You don't have to care. A huge misconception about feminine energy is more of that nurturing, light feminine energy side. You have to care about everything, everyone. False. If you want to be the best woman possible, you have to care for yourself first, and then you will be able to care for other people. If your energy and your attention and care is going to everyone, how are you supposed to truly help one person? You can't. I love that example. It's a little bit off track, but I love that example that they give to you on airplanes. When you are taking off on an airplane, the flight attendant says through the speaker, mothers and fathers, put your oxygen mask on first, then put it on your kids. If you are carrying and putting the oxygen mask on other people before yourself, you are going to pass out, not be able to help your kid, not be able to help yourself. Take care of yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first so that you can help other people. Okay, so now that you know your personal Bill of Rights, again, that was the book, The Art of Everyday Assertiveness. Love it. Love that book so much. You are going to create new affirmations for yourself. So your affirmations, one note with these, a lot of people do affirmations and say it doesn't work. Here's the problem. You're not actually becoming the energetic match to what the affirmation is that you're saying. So if you're saying, money flows to me in increasing quantities, money loves me, I'm a money magnet, but you don't actually feel that in the moment, money's not going to come to you. So for me, when I reversed how I was doing affirmations, when I would write it in the morning, I did not allow myself to walk away from the affirmation I had written until I actually felt I am that woman that attracts a lot of money. Money loves me. Money flows to me. I had to actually drop into my body. How would I feel if that was my belief? So here's some affirmations for you. Remember, you have to feel it if you want to attract it. Your affirmations: I am safe. The right people are always by my side. I don't chase, I attract. That one's huge for that journal prompt of maybe you're socially excluded, maybe you're alienated. Remind yourself you don't chase, you attract. The right people are always drawn towards you. The next one, this is my favorite. Oh my gosh, I just randomly said this to myself one day about a year ago and it changed my life. My inner child deserves boundaries to protect her. She does. You are in charge of your inner child. Imagine that you are letting people walk all over you. Does that 8-year-old girl inside you deserve that? No. Your job is to protect her. The next affirmation, I'm no longer available to be responsible for other people's emotions. You're not available for it anymore. That goes along with that personal bill of rights that I was teaching you. That's a huge thing that stops people from setting boundaries, is they care for other people's opinions. The thing with boundaries, if you want to be successful at setting them, you have one job. Set the boundary, done. Not set the boundary, manage their emotions. Not set the boundary, try to figure out how they're going to react and have a backup plan in mind. No, set the boundary, done. Pressure is off you, you have one job now. And then what you're going to do, this is a technique that I talk about in my Become Your Dream Woman course. So in the program, a lot of you who have taken the program, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You want to imagine that through life, you are playing a role, that you're an actress in a movie. The truth is, life is a movie. You are just an actress playing a role. So when it comes to setting boundaries, now that you have the techniques to do it, you're going to imagine, so sorry guys, it just got so dark in here, by the way. You're going to imagine that you are an actress that is playing the role of a savage, of a woman embodied in dark feminine energy, of a woman who has no problem setting boundaries. That is your new role, or your new role. So imagine there is a director that's watching you and saying, you have to perform this role. Everywhere you go in life, when it comes time to set a boundary, you're not yourself. You are instead this actress that's just playing a role. That's what life is. Nobody is saying you have to stay in the same role. So decide to play a new one. And play around with setting this role for yourself until it feels comfortable. But one thing about boundaries, the more you do it, the easier and better you get at it. So now let's talk about when people push your boundaries and also how to use the light and dark feminine energy to set them. So light feminine energy, let's talk about that one first. What you're going to do, find phrases that feel comfortable for you to say when you need to set a boundary. So these are phrases such as, that's not going to work for me, or I'm not available for that, or no, the 2-letter word, N-O, no. Play around saying these phrases until you feel comfortable with them. And something else with this too is light feminine energy, it is okay to still be firm and be in your feminine energy. You can totally be in your light feminine energy. Light feminine energy, it's not a pushover. It's a woman who's connected to her playful, loving, happy side, but also knows how to protect that. If you want to be in your feminine energy, you have to still have boundaries. So, so important. With dark feminine energy, this is going to be my favorite to talk about. Even in the Master Your Feminine Energy program, I think I tell you girls in that course, the dark feminine energy part of the course is my favorite to talk about. And there's a lot of things I'm not allowed to say on YouTube, so I put them in that program. If you already have the program, go back and revisit it if you're struggling with boundaries. The dark feminine energy section specifically will help you. So here's what I'll share now. Number 1, never ever react when someone pushes a boundary. Never react by changing your energy, I mean. And I heard someone say this a while ago. She's a huge social media influencer, and she says that every time she would respond to a negative comment, she realized something was happening. She was coming from this high vibrational state, dropping down to a low vibrational state. When you are here and someone comes along and disrespects your boundaries, do not drop down to match their energy. Do not drop down by reacting, getting triggered, getting upset, and blowing up. No, you have worked so hard on your energy, keep it here. And then what you're going to do is you are going to come from a place of peace, calmness, and confidence in yourself. One thing that you can do when your boundaries are pushed, act confused. This is the golden rule. I tell this to all of my clients who are struggling with this. Act confused when someone disrespects you or pushes a boundary. So here's an example. When I had a job where I was working in a restaurant, this is back when I wasn't too confident in my dark feminine energy. And I was a hostess at this restaurant, and I remember this group of guys were walking by the restaurant, and one of them looked at me and said, "Hey, what are you doing after work?" And I said, "I'm going home." And then he said to me, "How about you come and do me?" And in that moment, I literally told myself, "Alexis, time to play a role. Which actress do you want to be?" Okay, we're going to be the badass who has dark feminine energy today. And I looked at this man and said, "What do you mean?" Guess what he had to do? He had to explain the disrespect that he had just said. If you could have seen the look on his face trying to explain his really immature and really gross comment, oh my gosh, I just wish that I could have filmed that moment or something. All of his friends just looked shocked, and a few of them started to laugh at him. So when someone is making a gross or an inappropriate or just rude comment to you, ask them to explain what they just said and watch them struggle to come up with an answer. You do not have to take that feeling of shame and inappropriateness on you. Push it back to them. And notice I didn't react. I didn't get angry. I stood and said, "What do you mean? Can you explain that?" And he looked so dumb. So do not stoop down to someone else's level. Stay in your beautiful goddess feminine energy and act confused. And then when someone does explain it, all that your response is, okay. And then you move on. This is the key to using your dark feminine energy to set boundaries. Another thing with dark feminine energy is sometimes you don't even have to speak your boundaries, and I say this all the time. What I mean by this is dark feminine energy, when you decide within yourself, when you decide within yourself, your boundary is communicated through your actions, through your body movements, through your energy. And a lot of people get triggered when I say this. "Alexis, yes, you do have to speak up and say your boundary." Yes, sometimes that is needed, but not all the time. Your key is deciding what are your boundaries going to be. When you decide that, your energy speaks for you. An example of this is I decided when I was dating, I'm not going to kiss on the first date. I'm not going to do it. I never told a man that I went on a date with, I don't kiss on first dates. I didn't say that. But the men that I were dating, they knew not to kiss me. It was the energy and my body movements that spoke and told him, don't kiss her. So decide your boundary, and then it will be energetically communicated. That's the power of your dark feminine energy. The more you connect to your feminine energy, the better your life gets. You just feel so full of excitement and power and confidence and happiness. Your feminine energy is your gift as a woman. You want to learn how to use it. So you draw the line of the fence of where people come in. You are in charge of your boundaries. And it took me a while to understand this. Nobody is going to come in and save me. Nobody is going to come in and say, "Hey, you just crossed Alexis's boundaries." I had to learn how to do that. And you get the chance to do that too. So a conclusion before I answer some questions. Number 1, heal survival mode so that you can learn to feel safe expressing boundaries. Healing survival mode, it is essential. It is huge that you learn how to do this. And I'll put a video in the description if you're watching this on YouTube to check out my video on how to do this. Also in my Master Your Feminine Energy program, there's a huge section where I heal you and take you through deep inner work to get out of survival mode. Number 2, remember your personal bill of rights. Those 7 rights that I read to you, go back, replay those, write them down. They are your bill of rights that you have. Never forget. Number 3, act in a role. Life is the movie. You get to choose the character that you show up as. Show up as the woman embodied in her beautiful light and dark feminine energy who loves setting boundaries, who feels so worthy of doing that. And experiment with the light and dark feminine energy techniques. Play around with them, have fun. Definitely use that tip of acting confused if you don't know what else to do. And then your main takeaway is your inner child deserves this. Your inner child deserves for you to protect and honor her. Set the boundaries. If you can't do it for yourself, at least do it for her. She absolutely deserves it. Okay, so that is all for this topic. Now I'm going to take some of your girls' questions. If you have questions about boundaries, go ahead and send them my way. I'm happy to see you here. Happy to see you here. Lisette says, why do I feel bad for everyone even if they hurt me? How do I stop this so that I stop people pleasing? Yes, okay. The reason, Lisette, that you probably feel bad is because you feel that you control other people's emotions. So a huge shift for me when I was a people pleaser was realizing that people pleasing was a way of control. It was a way of making myself feel better. If I could control other people's emotions by people pleasing, I could control the output that I wanted, and I could continue to make myself feel safe because I was controlling their reactions. So what I actually recommend for you, Lisette, is to practice releasing control in all areas of your life. And then when it comes to your relationships with people, you're not going to feel the urge to control them as much because now you've practiced being that woman who flows, who's at peace, and who lets things move naturally. But girl, I'm totally with you. Before I connected to my feminine energy, I loved controlling things because I did not feel safe. So practice feeling safe in your body. My course would be a really great place for you to start with that. And also practice releasing control in other areas. What I mean by that too is, let's say that you're driving in traffic and someone cuts you off. Let it go. You don't have to control them. You don't have to flick them off. You don't have to tailgate them after. I'm saying those things because I used to tailgate people like that. No, let it go. Release control. You don't control their driving. You don't control that person. It feels so good to release control. So much less pressure off you. Hello. Hey. Please speak on boundaries for yourself. Yes, I meant to do this more because a lot of the messages that I get is, Alexis, when you share your life stories, I connect and resonate so much more. So yes, let me think of a story. Do I want to share this? Okay. So recently, maybe 6 months ago now, my best friend of the last 8 years, our friendship ended. And what had happened was I felt that boundaries were crossed, and this is what led to the end of the friendship. So small boundaries were crossed that I had communicated to her over and over again. And at first I had let it go. And then one day she had sent me a TikTok that was making fun of people who live stream. And in my body, I knew it. The friendship is over. I knew that that was such a high level of disrespect. And I sat and I felt, the highest quality friends, would they send me something like this? And the answer was no. So that's another thing too. I talk about this with my clients. Your body always knows the answer. You will know if a relationship is done. You will know if a boundary is being crossed. So what had happened was I had texted her and I asked, hey, when can you talk? And I took a few days to think about it. And when we talked, I asked her, can you explain why you sent me this video that was making fun of people who do exactly what I do for a living? And she couldn't answer. At first she said she didn't remember sending it to me. I had the message still. And then she said that she thought it was funny. And I asked, well, why would it be funny when this is what I do for a living? And this girl is making fun of people who do this. And she couldn't explain it. So that's when I learned that tip that I just gave you guys too. Ask people to explain the disrespect that they've just given you. And she couldn't explain it. So I knew the friendship was done. And I told her, I love you, but we've grown apart and the friendship is done. So it happened to everybody. It happens when you receive disrespect. It happens when you have to set a boundary. Even if it's someone that you never thought would cross the line, sometimes it happens. That's just a part of life. That's a part of the journey. No hard feelings, but you have to decide, the people that truly love and care for me, would they cross this boundary? Would they cause me to feel this way? If the answer is no, gone. The relationship is done. And what had happened after that was the friendships that I did have completely changed. So I have 5 close girlfriends now. All those relationships had changed when I decided to end that one friendship with my old best friend. And the relationships now, it's because I shifted into this new level of myself where I set a boundary. I'm only available for high value friendships where there is love, compassion, and the utmost respect. And my friends friends now feel like sisters. The girls in my life now, I never ever feel that they would do something like that to me. So sometimes when you're setting a boundary too, there's a shift that's trying to happen within you. There's a new level that you are being pulled towards. So if you don't set a boundary, you're risking not going to that level too. Boundaries have completely changed my life. I like that question. Where do I find all of your content? My name on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and TikTok is awwlexis. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, it's so sad. So many of us have gone through the same thing. I needed to hear that. Thank you, girl. Yes, you're so welcome, Lisette. Yes, releasing control is freeing. I had a similar experience. Yeah, it's real. All of us girls, we all go through the same things, I swear. Yeah, do that, but learn to take a joke as well. Okay, so Parker, to me, jokes that have an intention that relate to something that I do for a living, to me, that's not funny. And I heard this quote a while ago too. It said sarcasm is a mask to give an insult. That's what jokes are too. The friendships that I have now, they would never consider making fun of live streaming or being someone on TikTok or YouTube. My girlfriends would never do that. They would never joke around like that. So for me, that's not a joke. That is an insult masked as a joke. So I appreciate you trying to send me advice, but that's not gonna work for me. Yes. Thank you for answering my question. Yes. Can you save this live? Yes, Ruby, this will be on YouTube for you, girl. Don't even worry. How do I deal with rejection? Ooh, girl, I just posted the best video for you on this. It's called Rejection Equals Redirection. Highly recommend that you go watch that. Love your energy. Yes, thank you. Love from the Philippines. I love it. Oh my gosh, I feel so lucky to have so many girls in this community from all around the world. And I've never ever met with women from so many countries before. My clients live in the Middle East, they live in Africa, they live in Europe. It's been the most life-changing experience meeting all these women from around the world. I swear they have taught me more than I have ever known in my whole life. So grateful for everyone around the world. Thank you for sharing your light with us. Yes, you're welcome. That's right. You don't need to accept the joke just because it's a joke. Yeah, you don't have to. And to me, it's just so clear and easy now, because when you decide I have good quality friends and this is how they would treat me, you are never available for anything less. Ever, ever. Beautifully explained. Thank you. My problem is that it's a bit hard of me to change the people around me that act in a weird way. Why are you trying to change them? They are showing up that way for a reason. The only change is how much time and energy do you want to invest. You can never change people. That goes back to what I was saying about releasing control. So release control and decide, am I going to be available for this type of relationship, for this type of friendship? You cannot change people, you can only change yourself. Sometimes what happens is when you stop investing time and energy into people that aren't treating you well and acting in a weird way, those people start to realize what your boundary is. That's your energetic boundary, you pulling away. And either they will fall away or they will rise up with you. That is how it works. If we are not equally yoked, should I let him go? Bae, this is such a good question, girl. So equally yoked, can you actually explain what you mean by that? Because I'm Christian, and to me, when I hear equally yoked, it means having a relationship with God that is just as strong as yours. So babe, please explain that for me, girl. I'm going to explain what it means to be equally yoked because a lot of people don't know. So when you are driving a carriage and there are horses, what will happen is there will be one horse that is a little bit older, a little bit slower, and more relaxed that's pulling the carriage. That older horse will be paired with a younger horse who's full of energy, who might ride a little bit faster. By having the older horse and the younger horse next to each other, that carriage is able to drive smoothly because the horses balance each other out. Slow, older energy with new, fresh, quick energy. balanced, and the carriage drives smoothly. So what it means when someone says equally yoked, is that carriage equally yoked? Is it moving at the same calm, really steady pace in the same direction? So in my faith and my belief, being with a partner, something that you want to look for is, are you equally yoked in your spirituality and in your faith? I have a faith with God. I love Jesus. So for me, having a partner that also loves Jesus is important because I want to build my foundation, my family on that faith with God. I put full trust in God. If I have a partner who does not believe in God, we're going to be unequally yoked. Driving the carriage, it's not going to drive smoothly. We're going to drive apart. Having a partner who's equally yoked, you go together. Your relationship is solid and very strong. So, Bae, let me see if that's what you were talking about. Mentally and spiritually aligned. Yes, I do believe it is important. You have to be mentally and spiritually aligned with your partner. Of course, if you're already together and you're not equally yoked there, that could change over time. But if your partner does not have a growth mindset, if they don't have an open mindset, it's less likely that that's going to happen. So those are important qualities to look for in a partner. Are you mentally and spiritually synced? Do they have a growth mindset? Do they have an open mindset? So good. I want to take your course. I think it will change my life. I can feel it. Claudia, yes, girl, I would love for you to be a part of it. And what happens is with the course is you know when you are ready to take it. There's going to be a shift where you feel, I am ready to have this exchange. I am ready to invest in myself. If you don't feel 100% ready to take it, don't, because there might be experiences, there might be more inner work that you need to do before doing the course, because the course is a deep inner work dive. You have to have some sort of self-awareness or inner work that you've already done, and taking the course is going to be a whole other level if you've done that. Your heart will always know when it's best for you to join. Let's see. Have you ever had Botox? Nope, never had Botox, never had plastic surgery. I'm definitely not against it. I have a fear of needles though, so I have not done it. Amen, amen, well said. Thank you guys, thank you. Okay, my girls, I am going to go and get some food now. I am so hungry. I have loved talking with you girls today. Please let me know any other video ideas that you would like to see. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for all the love and the messages and the gifts. I will see you girls soon. I love you. Bye.